This is the video about YouTube feeling easier. Oh, jeez. Okay, I gotta hurry up because something's burning. I've been thinking about making videos on YouTube for over 2 years. And for a long time, it just felt really hard. And lately, I just have been feeling this burst of creativity and excitement and just a lot of ease around creating more content and making these videos. And I've already made more progress in the last few weeks than I had in the whole 2 years where I was trying. And I've been reflecting on why that is because I kind of want to stay in this mode, whether it's about YouTube or any other creative projects. So I want to talk about what was keeping me stuck and what changed about my approach and what's getting me excited about making these videos and just showing up more consistently here. I didn't have a strong why for doing YouTube for a long time. So it felt like the right thing to do. I knew that it would be good for the business, but there was something about it that didn't feel completely aligned with what I was doing. It felt a little bit forced. It felt like a little too strategic. Like this is like the right thing to do, but for me, it's something about it just didn't feel right. And I think right now, probably because the world feels so chaotic and there's terrifying things happening. Um, like, not to make light of it, but like a good thing that at least for me is coming out of living in a world where things feel so uncertain and so tragic in a lot of ways is that I kind of care a lot less about the specific goals and like having a reason to do everything, accounting for every single minute. I'm just feeling much more present in what I want to do. And I'm feeling much more free and creative. Maybe because it's like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, you might as well enjoy the present. You might as well work on stuff that you feel like working on, even if it's not the most strategic thing, or even if you don't know exactly how it'll help you in the future. So I'm just like feeling extra freedom around it, which is really nice. I think we all have phases. Um, I know that for me, around 5 years ago, at the start of the pandemic, that's when I had this like burst of creative energy, and a lot of the stuff that I work with clients on now and the course that I created, a lot of like the frameworks that I still think a lot about, they all kind of came out of me within this like 12 to 18 month period like 5 years ago. And then right after that creative burst, there was like kind of a low period where I was still trying to like write more and create more, but things felt a lot harder. So I want to accept that kind of seasonality of creativity too. Like try to cultivate it and try to keep it around as much as possible, but also accept that like I might just have these like ups and downs, and that's okay too. For the stuff that I talk about, there's just a lot to say about how AI is changing us as humans and is changing how we connect with each other, how we connect with ourselves, how we lead in a community. Like what gets to change? Like what is AI directly influencing? And then what are like the basics that so many people kind of want to go back to? How do we have friends? How do we feel connected? How do we lead and bring people together? Like these are all questions that I think are being asked again, and questions of like, I don't know, the way that we're humans is evolving. Like I think what it means to be human is evolving a little bit. And that's like a really exciting thing that gets me excited to go back to reading more, talking to people who are thinking about similar things, and then creating content about what I'm learning and kind of processing how the world is changing in real time through this medium, I think could be really fun. So, another reason I think it took me so long to start actually making videos is that I just saw a lot of bad examples, a lot of people who I just didn't relate to how they were making content online. And I couldn't figure out how to share information without being annoying, basically. um, I don't want to I don't want to share things in a super prescriptive or like borderline coercive, manipulative way. I wanted to find a way to share in a way that felt authentic to who I am, but also in a way that didn't make people feel extra anxious and didn't add more to the choir that the confusing choir that the internet is. I couldn't figure out a way to do that. Like I made some content that later when I watched it, I was like, this is annoying, or this is like me trying to tell people what to do. And I just like don't, it's a fine line, but I just don't want to come off that way. And I was reading a book about how to write personal essays, like, personal essays that you would read in a newspaper, or a magazine, or something, or a book of essays. They're the essay is telling a personal story, usually a personal story from the author's life, but the point of the essay is to make a larger point that's relatable to the audience. That's how I want to think about these videos. I think we'll see how it works. But there was one specific thing from the book, and the book was called The Situation and the Story. And what she said is that when you're writing a personal essay, you are being yourself, like what you're sharing is true to your story. But in the best personal essays, you channel a very specific part of yourself. And it's the part of yourself that is best to channel in service of the story. Because the point of the essay that you're writing is not just to tell a super accurate historical representation of the facts. The point of it is to make the point that you're trying to make. So you in order to do that, you have to go into the part of your identity that is the best part to tell that side of the story. So we all have all these different selves, we all have all these different identities. And the recommendation that she's making in the book is that in service of the story you're trying to tell, you kind of like explore more of one side of yourself. So you might be a gardener and also a yoga teacher and also a mom and a daughter, and all of these different identities that we all have. When you're writing about a specific topic or when you're talking about a specific story, what is the identity that you need to explore in order to do that story justice, or to teach that topic in a way that does it justice? And that got me really excited because I started to see creating content, writing essays, making videos as a way to explore a specific part of my identity. Like each piece of content is like, okay, what part of my identity am I exploring in this video? And that's, I think in the past, I thought of being authentic as sharing every part of me on the internet, and that makes me uncomfortable. But if the goal is to make a piece of content that explores a specific part of your identity, and it doesn't mean that that's like the full representation of who you are, but it's like a nice slice of a part of you that's authentic and true. I don't know. So thinking about making videos as a way to get to know myself better, that gets me really excited as a goal, more than something like having 1 million subscribers or something like that would. I just used to think that if I'm talking about something on the internet as an authority, I just need to have it figured out. Like it needs to be perfect. I talk about building community and fixing your relationship to loneliness and yourself and connection, etc. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm talking about those things, I should have the perfect relationship with everyone in my life, and I should have already figured out how to be like the best connector ever. And even though I talked so much about perfectionism to clients, and I like thought a lot about this topic, like it just hadn't sunk in that I didn't need to be perfect. And I think in the last 2 years, I just have healed a lot of those judgments that I had towards myself. And I just don't feel that way anymore. I'm much more comfortable just sharing what my thoughts are. Maybe it's like getting older. I'm just much more comfortable sharing what I'm thinking right now as a work in progress and then just seeing where it goes. I'm confident about my values. I'm confident about the why I talk about this kind of stuff, which means that I don't need to be confident that everything that I'm saying is going to be 100% right for 100% of people who are watching it. So that's been really helping me just kind of do it and see what happens. My business and my life used to be a lot more intertwined, but I had a bunch of life changes, some good, some very challenging in the last couple years. So it caused me to just want more separation and to also just to focus the business in like the core business model, which for us in the last couple years has been consulting with just a handful of clients consistently and helping them build their communities and scale up their businesses. I think that Friendly Nooks as a business will exist for a really long time, but I'm not tied to the specific business model that we have. It's already had a bunch of different iterations. And I think like what stays consistent is our mission and our vision for the world that we're trying to create and our values. But I'm not tied to the business model being just consulting. I think that I'm excited to see it evolve. And now that my personal life is a lot more stable and I feel like I have the brain power to think more about the future and to kind of evolve what we want to do in the future. Now I really have a vision for how YouTube might support this future version of the business that I don't have 100% clarity on, but I think I have like a direction to move towards. So I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but I know why I'm doing it this time, and it feels right and it feels free and creative. I'm here and I'm excited for what comes from it.